Hello.
All right, welcome.
Thank you.
And
You got
as
some
I
really
said,
nice tunes on the in the intermediary.
yeah, that is thanks entirely to Mark Sparling, who has just done a amazing job of providing me with music for my various jam games over the years. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself while I give this game a try?
Oh, I'm Hannes. I'm one of three people behind Pink River. I am the artist, the coder, the everything except audio, and we all helped out with different parts of like the game design and so on. Yeah. What do you want to know?
Well, I guess can you talk a little bit about your inspiration behind this idea, how you came up with it in the first place?
Yeah, so I do a lot of game dev streaming, and same with this. So I just started the stream, called up the other guys, and we uh, try to come up with something that matched the theme. So the game was first about like a train with a Norwegian black metal guitar god standing on the front of it with like a guitar that could summon lightning and stuff. So and then we just kind of talked it through, got some really good thoughts from the chat and from all of the like the team. Uh, we had one iteration of it where this was like a boat that you couldn't steer to kind of fit the theme, but you could like push blocks to the left and right and make it steer left and right. Then my brother was one of the people in the he's one of the audio guys, so it's me and two audio slash design guys. Came up with the idea of maybe we could like pick up parts of the raft and maybe the or rather maybe the boat is a raft and we could move the different blocks around. Yeah, that's kind of the way the idea came about.
Nice. It's always cool to hear what ideas people go through before they eventually settle on what it is they end up making the jam game about.
Yeah, I've been jamming a lot, like on my own. It was really fun to share that process with people, and I think the ideas that came out were really cool and a lot of things that I wouldn't have come up with by myself. So it was a really nice experience.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like we are already getting some questions from the chat. So, how about this one? Are there any mechanics you would actually remove from Pink River?
I don't think so. I think if anything, I'm missing some. We can talk about that maybe, but there are parts of it that I would like to tweak. Like one of the things I've been thinking about is like you can fall off the raft by just walking off the edge, and that kind of messes with when you're trying to place blocks. So one of the things I would like to kind of, I don't know if that's removal of a mechanic, but maybe add, maybe not let you fall off. I don't know.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, go ahead.
Am I very soft? Am I coming across low?
I guess, I mean, I can hear you all right, but maybe I will boost the incoming audio so that people can hear you a bit better. Chat, please let me know if this is better.
Can you hear me now? I'll also lean into the mic and give you that.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. So, thank you for bringing it up.
Thanks.
Okay, yes, we're immediately getting positive response from that. But I don't want to scroll too far away from that other question, which was there any reason behind the raft collecting items instead of the player?
It was originally the player. I wonder what the design process around that. I think we a lot of the design choices were guided by people just picking up 2 blocks and running with just 2 blocks because you could kind of get away with that. If you could pick up blocks or pick up like coins or hearts with the raft instead, you would actually have some benefit to having a larger raft. I think that was the kind of, that was kind of the thing that that drove that decision.
Yeah, so you're just trying to curtail the player behavior, make it the way that as you intended.
Yes, or at least discourage from things that we don't think is that fun.
Right.
I'm all for people coming up with their own like creative ways of playing, but if it's something that I think is not fun, maybe we want to kind of steer away from that, helping the player to have fun, I guess.
Absolutely. I think players would be surprised how often we have to make design decisions to kind of like trick them into actually having more fun. There is a very famous the way that Mario 1-1 was designed. I'm not going to get into it, but do look it up because Miyamoto goes into how they actually trick the players to learn the mechanics of the game. So trickery is a often used game design tool, and I will leave it at that. So it looks like we're getting some more questions. How many were you in total? The role distribution? Well, it sounded like it was just yourself and your brother.
We were, we were 3 people. So it's me,
Oh, no.
It's Alfred and Tommy. Now, what you gonna do now?
Oh no! I almost say, oh, there we go. Okay.
Get up.
Well, I'm trying to show off the game, but I'm also trying to have this conversation with you. So, people, if you haven't heard of this game, I'd be surprised because it is. You've done an amazing job here, and I'm so glad that it was noticed, and I'm so glad that as of right now, it seems to be the most rated game on the entire Jam, and by a wide margin.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like I have no idea how that happened. But yeah, I think it turned out pretty good. And just to finish off the question there, we were 3 people. I did code, art, and like game design. We had Alfred and Tommy on music and sound effects and like a lot of smart design decisions. So yeah, that was the team. Also, I should mention like a bunch of people in my Twitch stream chat had both like came up with bug fixes and just from looking at my screen while I was streaming, making it and helping out with like good design decisions and so on. So it's definitely like really a team thing.
Yeah, I gotta say, when I first saw this on stream, I was immediately like, "Oh wow, that's why this is the most rated game." Like it was immediately evident to me, just the mechanics of this, the way it fits with the theme so well. Yeah, you guys have done a great job here. And oh no.
Yeah, thanks.
So let's see here. Can you talk a bit about your development process for the game? Like how it actually came together?
Yeah, I kind of started mentioning it before, but I sent off the girlfriend and my kid to my girlfriend's parents. I booted up Unity and like turned on the stream, called up the collaborators, and just got going, I guess. Since I do most of the actual implementation of stuff, I was just like keeping a text document with some ideas and just going. I didn't have a particular process.
I think that's absolutely the advantage of having a small development team size, is that you don't have to be worrying about communicating with anybody necessarily. You're just going, making it happen.
Yeah, and as I mentioned, like the stream kept me kind of in line a large part of the time too. So that's really good.
Wow, because that's incredible to me. Like you were actually able to get. Were you sharing? Were you sharing builds of the game, or were people just watching you play it?
People were just watching me play it.
Okay.
I've been thinking about like having something that automatically builds from Git for things like this and for when I usually stream. Sometimes I do like prototypes. Sometimes I want to make something. Yeah. So and maybe having something like that, but not yet. I haven't had time to invest in that.
Yeah, because I was just curious from the way you were describing it. I was like, did you actually manage to get builds in progress out to people? Because that was fascinating. Like the game that I was working on, I would say I probably had the logic working maybe 2 hours before I had to submit.
Okay. Yeah, it's something that I've been wanting to do for a while. I've done some like multiplayer stuff where I've actually shared builds live with my chat to because I'm a solo developer. I do this every day, and it's a thing where it's really hard to make a multiplayer game. So I have done that and just used Itch for distribution of that. It's worked, but I haven't been as smooth as I haven't integrated all the tools as nicely as I would have wished.
Okay, well, perhaps on the topic of like building something for the sake of a game jam, is there a particularly clever hack or shortcut that you use that you wouldn't actually use for a production project?
It's all hacks really, but one in particular is like the raft is actually like standing still at 0, in
Right.
in the in Unity's coordinate system, and everything in the river is like every row of the river, every shore, every blocker, everything is actually moving every frame, which is something I probably wouldn't do if I were to do this, like if I were to expand on this, or if I would do this again. But it does work. Like it's not that many objects for
Yeah, I would say it seems to exactly that is one of the best things about advancing technology is that we get to be lazier when we make games. Well, I say that, but I mean more that we can focus on the vision and worry about the optimization later, or not at all.
Absolutely. And I also like intentionally often choose art styles that where like a few objects would be possible 20 years ago, but now I can have a million of them. And on the other hand, I also might do like a super high res thing, which is just have one, because that's something we can do now that we couldn't before. There's a way to kind of come up with.
Cool. Well, we've got another question in chat here. How much do you feel your existing fan base helped you to make the game as it is by their feedback, and also to make it the top-rated game of the Jam?
Interesting. So I usually have in the 30 to 50 range viewers on my stream, which is like my main fan base. I do have.
It looks like they're all here
on Twitter,
or some of them
maybe,
at least.
I don't know. So though maybe that was 100 people. I guess that could have had some effect on like popularity. The people that were there, like it's a smaller percentage that actually like chat and do stuff. And yeah, I don't know. I think just being lucky with hashtags is the big kind of thing. When I usually tweet about something, maybe I get like, for something that's just whatever, maybe it's 100 likes. But if I do a GIF, it's 200. This is like 9,000 likes, and I don't think my fan base and massive air quotes would be able to do something like that.
It was kind of the like, perfect storm of factors. Game design.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think one question on perhaps a lot of people's mind and in chat here is why the color pink? Why is it a pink river?
Well, I usually just make pink games. I made a game called Hell is Other Demons, which is like a 4-color low-res kind of deal, and that had a very prominent showing of pink. I just gravitate to that. I don't think the pink actually represents something very. Yeah,
It's just an aesthetic
very
choice.
thought through thing. Yeah, it's just something that came out when I started drawing the pixel art concepts for it. My one of the audio guys kind of came up with that the river shouldn't be maybe a normal river, like a bluish,
like a blue or something, yeah.
greenish thing. Yeah, we were thinking like, oh, it's slime, it's something like that, and then I couldn't make the green work, and it became pink or magenta-ish.
Yeah. I think it also contributes to the idea that you would take damage from being in the river. And so another question that I have here, both for myself and I can also see showing up in chat, is there anything that you had to cut or change in order to finish the game in time? Something that you wish you could have added in?
Yes, definitely. Like, I wanted the game to have a beginning and an end. I kind of made the beginning with the way you jump off the little pier there, but I didn't get around to making an end for it. So it's just a high score thing right now, which is some of my the biggest regret, because I think it might be hard to get the same kind of feeling of completion or satisfaction from a game that doesn't really end.
I can imagine having both an ending and an endless mode as options in the future. And speaking of which, do you have plans to continue working on the game going forward?
We're still decompressing, trying to talk around this. So you mentioned before, it did gather some attention. So we're thinking of ways that we could make this happen, if it's something that could possibly be feasible for us to make a big version of, and hopefully we could figure something out.
Okay, sounds good. Chat, please let me know if you have any other questions. In the meantime, is there anything else in particular that you want to discuss? Any other anecdotes about the development process?
Not really. I think we covered a lot. Yeah. We had some fun last half hour stuff. I'm not sure if you've done that. So we implemented the fishes, for example, and we had a fishing mechanic, and it didn't work out, and that was really shit. And then someone said to just rip parts of that mechanic out, and removing that part of it made it work. I'm not sure if you've noticed it. This is spoiler territory, maybe, but some of the blocks are like cages, and they rattle.
Yes.
And you can actually catch fish in there. So that is the thing that we added 30 minutes before, we submitted, and then I kept the stream going and just talking about it. And then someone said, you should have that. That would be cool. And then we did that, and then that got in. I think that's a cool little Easter egg thing.
Nice. The last half hour of my game, I was going in and fixing text Newline errors. Yeah. I'm sure you've seen this before. I have a very naive implementation of text printing in my game where it starts to print the letter, it starts to print the words, it hits the end of a line, and then it jumps the word onto the next line, then keeps printing it out.
Yes.
So I just went in and manually added new lines in each of those places, because that's just the easiest way to program those things. So.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
We do have a couple more questions coming in from chat. So how did you choose the color scheme? I guess once you established the color pink, it was about choosing a good color that complemented it, right?
Yeah, I think so. It's also if you think back to really old DOS computers, it's sort of close to the CGA palette.
Yeah.
Which I often do things like that, just go back in time and try to pick up things that could work now, so to speak. And yeah, so the color palette comes from there. I have some strategies to how to do that. So complementary stuff. Yep.
All right. And I guess we've got time for one last question here, which is how are the dark ripples around blocks achieved? I'm guessing that is a 2-dimensional quad that you've got like stretching and compressing.
Yes, exactly like that. It's really like the river is actually just the background, and then on top of nothing, we draw the boxes and the well, every element that has one of those. So it's just a quad that wobbles. Yeah. Hi, Ivy, by the way.
Right. So that's how you're able to achieve this quote unquote submerged look, is this quad is creating the illusion that there is depth beneath it. There's no transparency. Well, the transparency is in the quad, but because it's hovering over literally nothing, because that pink is actually the like infinite void, right?
Yep.
Cool. Well, I think we've got to start wrapping things up for now, but thank you so much for coming on the call. Is there anyone that you want to give a shout out to? Anything else? Any like a Twitter handle people can find you at?
You can find me at kebabskal on Twitter, or on here if you want to see some game dev stuff. I'll be back in like about a week, streaming pretty much every day from in Swedish office hours, which is like 9 through, I don't know, 9 through 5 or something like that. Probably working a little bit on this game.
Nice.
Yeah. So shout outs to everyone who's been like sharing on Twitter and rating on Itch and just all the nice words. And shout outs to you. Like really fun talking to you.
Thank you very much. And I've thrown the link to everyone in chat. If you somehow have not gotten around to playing this game, please do. Thank you so much for joining me here today. And I'll let you get to dinner, and I've got to get to a couple bites of lunch before we start on with our next guest.
Thank you. Take it easy.
Thank you. Cheers. Bye-bye.